Welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness through sharing my life stories with AspieAnswersAll syndrome, OCD and the like, along with mental health disorders, so to speak, to give you tips and advice along the way. Just a clear note though, in all retrospect, if you see any warning signs and symptoms that I may share, regardless what it may be, do seek professional help for yourself and for your loved one, no matter who and what it is. It could also be for yourself. Like I said, I don't forever condone self-harm. So this one's basically going to be basically a little mini rant, which I humbly apologise in advance, even though it will be obviously another topic under this, under the autism spectrum part of it. This one's called Stop Calling Kids with Autism High Functioning or Low Functioning Autism. As we know, it's a given though that I may have said in one part of my videos that, you know, with one term of the label I like to be called, you know, Aspie, because obviously it's a clinical slang term for people with Asperger's syndrome. But then again, I guess it's each to their own, basically, in a way of how we want to be about with these labels. But at this point of time, I just feel right now that, you know, we need to know if we should be calling these kids high functioning or low functioning, but I'll share my thoughts onto this in my next part of the series. But for now, I just want to clearly get this out of the way right now. So just humbly apologise in advance if you don't wish to hear me ranting about this, but it's just how I feel at the moment from what I've heard and seen on one part of my, you know, community page that I'm on Facebook at the moment. So anyways, today I have a bone to pick with you guys with the terms of high functioning and low functioning for kids on the spectrum. Functioning means working, operating or having a purpose. And sure, it's so easy to know how a machine could be labelled as working or not, as well as any other labels that should be left on the shelf or on jars or wherever else it may be that are working or not, you know. But when it comes down to a child with autism, okay, like for example, a non-speaking 7-year-old on the spectrum, what do we actually mean? Many adults spend their years trying to find their own purpose, so to speak, to claim we know the purpose of a child with autism, and therefore we're able to assess if they're either functioning or they're not functioning. But to me, I don't think this is the case. I don't think so. No way, Jose, far from it. It seems to me that a child's purpose in this world is evolving and changing, and it's something that they each grow into with time. But when we do designate a child's functioning level as high or low, it can be damaging and for the ways of us for assumptions of, you know, their purpose or ability to move through the world that is already set in stone and concrete. However, we need to remember this mindset that we have is dangerous and it can cause more harm than good. Here are some reasons to why this may be. As we know, as I haven't shared yet with the diagnostic manual of 4 and 5 of this, I'll share this on. The criteria that surround these labels don't describe a person. Okay, for someone's son's official diagnosis is severe autism, and I've heard him described it as low functioning, maybe by many professionals. But however, let's be clear here, this is simply not an inaccurate description. Even when some parents may have looked up for the criteria for such a label, they don't see it in their child as that. They may be very aware of their world around them. He's able to learn, he wants to engage socially, and his challenging behaviours doesn't exist in a vacuum, but rather they reflect his struggles with communication. As we know, basically every child on the autism spectrum is different, just to clear that up. Just don't forever assume every child on the spectrum is the same. The labels don't speak to the specific challenges of each child, however, and these specifics are what we should be focusing on. Just by saying low or high functioning relies on the generic description of the traits that is given of the characteristics, as I've said before. It doesn't look at the specific challenges that each child will face or faces in general. I think for me, however, it's more helpful to say that is what my child's good at. This is what he or she needs help with, instead of, you know, having this high-low functioning. This is, you know, thinking the negatives. These labels, however, can undermine the hard work that many people on the spectrum may put into each day of their everyday challenges. If a child is labelled high functioning, their challenges are usually often dismissed or ignored. While not all kids on the spectrum may flap their arms, spin or stim, many of them may struggle with anxiety, socialisation, and expressing themselves in the right form of manner. We should acknowledge these struggles as well and to seek help for a child to work through them. Low and high functioning labels, however, determine autism services, and they can be manipulated accordingly. And also with these labels, they do vary from time to time and they interchange like many things. Recently, however, someone said 2 of my friends' children received an autism diagnosis. One of the children is verbal and he got placed somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. Although he still needs quite a lot of therapy, his label doesn't reflect the challenges that he has. But it does mean that his parents don't qualify for government-funded resources or services like the Autism Waiver, which is a program which covers therapy for kids on the spectrum only if they are autistic enough, is the label. As I've got with Charlie, the one that is labelled that. Another friend, however, said whose son is a happy non-speaking non-play 3-year-old was told by their therapist to exaggerate his challenges in order to make sure he does qualify for all the services he could receive. This sort of random assignment of labels that a lot of kids fall through the cracks and don't end up getting the help they actually need. The labels high and low functioning reinforce the false notions or thoughts about a child or having a child with autism is however awful and dreadful and horrible, which just perpetuates the fear and despair around the disorder or that surrounds this disorder. Very too often, many people may have seen parents and some autism advocacy groups demonize some of the having a low functioning child with autism. Sometimes these groups paint a grim picture of what life with this child is like, and there seems to be a tacit belief that if you have a child who's high functioning, you dodge a bullet somehow. This is probably much the group of Autism Speaks that does this in general. Anyone who has autism has many challenges, hell yeah. And I know their life is hard sometimes as they struggle to communicate or they just struggle to do what they can in their life. But we should just adore them and love them all the same. We should be able to, help nurture and grow with them and love helping them to grow and learn despite their different neurology that makes them unique, not a cause for despair or fear. These labels, however, presume there's a normal for that our kids with autism have to get to, and that being indistinguishable from their peers is the goal of their lives. I don't forever think that, but I don't think that helping the children blend in or just seem normal is our purpose or function if you must as parents. Thinking of our children as specifics as humans and helping them be one of their best selves should be, however. Again, I shall repeat this as to what I shared before on a personal level. I find these assumptions to be incredibly insulting and a letdown because you are putting a value on the life of a child on your own plain utter ignorance. Don't you dare do that to the kids that has autism. You've got to understand that they may need a lot of support, patience, love, should be able to love and accept their child as well as yourself with autism completely and totally, no matter what developmental track that they're on. I am disgusted, horrified and offended by those that think, for me especially, that trying to love myself unconditionally based on on not being a real autistic or person with Asperger's syndrome. Nothing could be far from the truth. We should be able to accept all of our gifts, challenges, the whole complete package, our complete self. We can't be separated from the knowledge, obviously, of what you want us to be, regardless. You wouldn't want us to be, right? This, again, is obviously a fair warning that you are harming and dehumanizing their child or someone that is autistic, or all of the autistic people that you come and meet when you perpetrate your own ableist beliefs. So my my tip and advice here is, before I end this, stop telling people that some autistics are worth accepting while others are not. Stop making assumptions about a child or any child that is autistic based on your own ignorance and prejudice that you know what's best for them. Most importantly, stop talking about autism as if you understand it at all, unless you want to actually know the key differences here. Because when you're using these functioning labels, as I said, it is clearly that you don't forever know. Stop telling or calling people that are autistic, as this can ruin their self-esteem, self-confidence and identity. So think before you speak to someone who is different is my main goal here, as well as maybe getting to know the person who is autistic, and then maybe know if they want to be called high functioning versus low functioning. If not, then respect that for them, and hopefully just get on with it and just accept others. Well, this quickly ends. Stop calling kids with autism high functioning or low functioning. Give me like 4 thumbs up and support. Comment below. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to also follow me on my social media sites listed below. Feel free to also, follow me, or shall we say subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, because the red button is on the bottom right hand side if you need to know. Also, don't forget to turn that notification bell on beside the subscription button so you can keep up to date with new content when I bring them out. So no further ado, guys, thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and you guys have a great day, and hopefully learn something about someone different today. Ciao for now.